Good afternoon, everyone. Let's do a quick check on my audio and video to be sure you hear me okay.
Audio is good, video is good, and they can see the screen.
All right, thank you. All right, so welcome to another episode, session of the lunch hour that comes to you every Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. And today is Thursday, 26th of June, and I'm happy that I can be with you today. My name is Paul Erubami. I'm the MD CEO of Max-Migold Limited and the head of faculty of the Max-Migold Training Center. You must have seen some of our flyers and ads regarding to this session. And I hope you're all excited about this all-important topic. Extending our understanding of the scope of facility management beyond the day-to-day fixing of building components to caring for the life and the livelihoods of people who use the facility. So we are taking another topic today on indoor air quality, the silent threats, talking about the impact on health and productivity. What's your understanding of ventilation, pollutants, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, HVAC mismanagement, and how they create a combination of factors that reduces people's quality of life and diminishes productivity of the workforce or the individuals in the spaces that we manage. So that's what we'll be covering today. And thank you for those who have been consistent in coming into the sessions. I hope you have been gaining from these sessions and be able to make some considerable changes or improvements at work to show that you are connected to the right source of information and knowledge about the built environment. Before I delve into today's topic, I just want to remind you that we are still filling up spaces for the FM Mastercraft Diploma Program Batch 25 that starts in August. So we are ending the month of June this this weekend, moving into the month of July, which gives us one clear month to completely fill that class. So we're calling on senior FM team members, members of our alumni group, facility management practitioners to identify and enroll relevant team members who would benefit from the FM diploma. It is the only comprehensive program that teaches you the entire body of knowledge, completely localized application of global best practices in facility management in Nigeria today. So there is nothing else to compare really to the FM diploma. So take a bold move to enhance your professional standing and career in facility management. I know there are so many training, short courses and all that here and there, even internationally, but to engage for 3 months, be taught everything, have an exam, prepare and work on practical real life projects, 6 of them, earn a certificate, a credential that is highly recognized, highly accredited, be part of an alumni of the who is who in the FM industry in Nigeria and Africa continent today, and to be in a mentorship, perpetual mentorship program where your career planning, your, you know, management of opportunities is an ongoing thing um, forever, just because you're part of the FM diploma is something you can't pass over. An opportunity for you to move by in multiple folds in your earning power, both as an employee and even as a business owner. So the FM Mastercraft Diploma is a non-negotiable opportunity for anyone who works in the built environment, who aspires to work in the built environment, or just want to be a facility manager, making impacts in the world and the profession around you. Your level of advancement will know no bound if you take this program. So I invite you. Registration is still ongoing. Take the opportunity to join, and don't fret about the cost. We have a flexible arrangement that allows you to start paying now. By the time the class starts in August, if you pay up to half, you can join the class. If not, you can continue paying into the next class starting in 2026. Okay, but I know you want to join this current batch, and I look forward to having you here. Okay, we do offer some discounts for corporate registration. So if you have 5, 6, 10 employees from the organization taking the FM diploma, you can enjoy up to 50% rebates. Every other numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth, have different percentage reduction because they're coming in as a group. So we look forward to seeing you in the program. We also take our training to organizations. We provide corporate training books as a package that can select the areas that you want to fill gaps in the knowledge and skills of your employees. So don't be stuck to any of our courses. You can decide you want to have a 3 days program, a 5 days program, a 2 days program, and you want these and that topics addressed. And then we'll put such package together for you to deal with those issues and give you continuous feedback on their progress. Max-Migold as a facility management company is at the forefront of technology, operations and maintenance solutions, energy efficiency, smart buildings, information modeling, all of the things that are, forward-looking. We deal with the issues of today's processes. We solve the problems through our advisory and consulting services, asset registers, asset tagging, and so on and so forth. And then we take you a step ahead into providing solutions that can give you more visibility, more control, more streamlined processes, and continuous cost improvement in terms of cost reduction for your facility. So don't waste that money anymore. Don't waste that time with employees who don't know what they're doing. Bring them on, invite us to consult for any need you have in your facility, and we'll be there to help. We have many consultants, that can come out, do the inspection for free, and give you a proposal to solve whatever problem you're encountering in your facility. All right, so welcome again as we start today's session, the silent threats, indoor air quality and its impact on health and productivity. Today, you want to explore how poor ventilation, pollutants, and HVAC mismanagement silently affect building users, their cognitive function, absenteeism, and long-term health. And we're going to leave that in itself by teaching ways we can reverse this and make our environment healthy and safe for all building users. So after completing this session this afternoon, you should be able to define indoor air quality, the relevance of this to facility operations, identify common indoor pollutants and their health implications, assess indoor air quality using standard tools and performance indicators, implement strategies to improve air quality in various facility types, advocate for indoor air quality best practices that enhance occupant well-being and productivity. And while you're at this, as you're taking this session, don't forget to connect with us on Max-Migold channel on YouTube and you will find all the previous episodes of our FM launch hour. So you can watch them again and gain the knowledge that you so much seek. Please engage with us, stay connected with Max-Migold on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, and on LinkedIn. You can connect with me, Paul Erubami, on LinkedIn especially. That's where I play, that's where I connect, that's where I network. So if you want to have one-on-one connection, please get on LinkedIn and search for Paul Erubami and you'll be connected. Don't forget that we have conversations on a daily basis going on in the Max-Migold facility management training WhatsApp platform and the facility management services and training Telegram platform, as well as the Facebook page, facility management services and training. So look out for these platforms and groups in your popular social media and messaging platforms, and stay connected with Max-Migold. Opportunities always abound. Opportunities for new jobs, opportunities for training opportunities, free resources and all that are always available from Max-Migold's channel. So stay in touch. Okay, so what is IAQ, indoor air quality? What does it matter in facility management? So let's think about the air as the source of and sustainer of life. At a basic level, living organisms require air to live. If you either don't have air, have polluted air, or can't process air within the system, that is death. All right. So because this air is a very, very essential resource for life, we encourage facility managers to pay attention to the quality of air. In fact, we try to move this up, and talk about it in form of environment, because there's a lot more to environment than air. Okay, so air is what we're talking about today. But in other sessions, we'll bring out more components of indoor environments that include sound, that includes light, that include vibrations, and so many other indoor environmental characteristics or features that we should be mindful of as facility managers. Now, why is this so important to us as facility managers? People spend most of their time indoors. Think about it. From when you wake up in the morning, you step out for a bit, maybe into a vehicle, and in transit to another building for work. So you go in there and you do your work for the whole day. You step out for a bit into another indoor, your vehicle again, and then back to a residence where you spend the night and you continue this cycle again. If you take out the time that you are on transit, or the time that you are walking on the street or doing any outdoor activities, you will find that for most people, it is between 1 and 4 hours every day that they are not inside some built space. So think about it. You spend 20 hours out of 24 hours of a day inside a built environment. What profession manages this indoor environment? Facility management. What does this mean? Connecting that with the fact that the air that you breathe in is what provides life and sustains life. If that air is insufficient or polluted, or the body cannot process it, that is death. It therefore means that facility managers are sitting on a life support of the individuals that use the facilities that we manage. So we must always think about how much air are we providing? How clean and healthy is this air that we are providing? Because if we are not minding that, we are killing the people that are in the buildings that we manage. Because poor indoor air quality can lead to health issues, all kinds of health issues. There are the symptoms of headache, fatigue, lack of focus, respiratory problems, all the way to illnesses that can be life-threatening or can be terminal because of infections that can come in through the same air and become really injurious to the individual. Okay, so when it comes to health issues, this is the most important reason why we should manage the quality of air in our buildings. And then we'll go into part of what we were talking about last week: comfort, productivity, satisfaction, a sense of well-being. Indoor air quality boosts all of this. If you are trying to get your job done, you want to think, straight. You want to be, want to have a balanced mindset to work and get results. If your brain is starved of oxygen, or your body is not processing air properly, and you are not feeling comfortable, forget about productivity. Okay. So facility manager's job is not just to provide the buildings and the tables and chairs and electricity and all that. No, our job goes beyond that. Even the air that is not seen is our responsibility, ensuring that it is in the proper quantity and quality to sustain life and to boost productivity and ultimately well-being. Okay, so it is a compliance issue. If people are not getting good quality air in the facility that you manage, you are already violating some aspects of the building code. So it's important to pay attention to the fact that there are laws that requires you as facility manager beyond duty of care, but in this case, compliance at the basic level to ensure that air quality is satisfactory. Okay. And if you are providing it, you cannot just assume that since somebody not coming after you, complaining or making a request, that everything is okay. You must also have your own empirical approaches to quantifying the quality of the air you are providing. Just the same way we have, water running through our facilities, and we take it through treatment, and we take a sample all the time to go and do water analysis so that we can have, records of the quality of water we are distributing. The same thing applies to air. The air that we use in our facilities needs to be, abundant, needs to be processed, needs to be tested regularly to confirm that they meet the minimum requirement or expectation for people's livelihoods within our spaces. So let's talk about some of the common enemies, the things we need to be conscious of, the pollutants that create indoor air quality that becomes really bad. Don't forget the fact that in nature, the way God made nature, there is movement of winds, right? And these winds, they ventilate the world. They disperse pollution, and they filter over time using the forests and the oceans, the rivers, to correct anomalies in the environment, in the quality of air. Now, if human efforts at industrialization, construction, all kinds of transportation that releases harmful emissions into this air creates pollution at a rate that is higher than nature can process and clean up. You begin to have, environmental degradation at scale. Okay, so there's a natural means to clean up. But if the pollutions become more overwhelming, that natural means cannot clean up. So you see dense fogs, you see dusty environments, you smell soot and smoke, you feel certain things on your skin if you're in some areas where there's so much soot in the air. So that's the wider environment. Now, as bad as it may be, or as it may seem for outside air quality looking as uncomfortable as you might want to consider it. If you box yourself up into a building, lock the windows and lock the doors, you probably think that you are protecting yourself from the pollution that's outside. Of course, there's always that need to have some means of filtering the air coming from outside so you can take in less and less of that pollution. But you must continuously have that dilution of the pollution you create from inside. The pollutions you create from inside your homes are worse than the ones that the outdoor environment brings in. Of course, not everything that we encounter from the outdoor environment should bring into our space. We need to filter, continuously ventilate. So let's start with volatile organic compounds. We use things like paints, cleaning supplies, soaps, detergents, bleaches, adhesives and glues, office equipment, fumigation chemicals, insecticides, and the rest. All of these things include compounds that are volatile. They emit, once they are exposed, they emit particles of themselves into the atmosphere. Sometimes we deliberately use certain so-called desirable VOCs like air fresheners and sprays. These things, they do two things. They saturate the air with their own particles, and most of them combines with oxygen in our air, compete with us because they get oxidized when they come in contact with oxygen. So that oxidation process means that they use up much of the oxygen in our air to form other compounds for their own stability. We end up in the process of trying to get oxygen in, begin to inhale not just the form of pollutants that came from these volatile organic compounds that are in the air, but the oxidized forms that are even sometimes more poisonous and become destructive to the human body. So every time you want to clean, for example, you want to use paints, you want to use glues and the rest, think again. Is my space enclosed? Can I do this activity outside? Can I open windows and doors and create a flow of air through ventilation that can move these fumes that I'm going to emit from these VOCs out to freshen or refresh the space? Because if you don't, you're creating a risk to the health of whoever is in that space that is enclosed. You also have particulate matter, things that come from dust, smoke, construction, HVAC systems. So every time somebody smokes in a space, you probably sit around and say, I am not the one smoking. that person is the one smoking. But what you don't realize is that secondhand smoke is just as harmful as the primary smoker is having. Plus the fact that those smoke particles, they tend to stick to absorbent materials around our buildings, curtains, drapes, window blinds, sofas, anything that can absorb. They stick to them and they continue giving even after the smoking has been done. So let's think about that. When you sweep, uh, dust is bound to go into the air. Think about opening windows so that some fresh air can come in, and through convection, this air can move and the particles of dust in the air can be moved out. You want to do some breaking and fixing of things. Of course, breaking through concrete or cement will lead to dust. Repair works are always going to be necessary, but do not do it in environments that are enclosed. Do not do it in an environment where this dust from construction, activities are then sucked into your air conditioning processing equipment. Because what that does is it clogs the filters, and much of these pollutants can, zap through clogged filters, apart from the poor energy efficiency that you get from clogged filters in your air handling devices, air handling units, and other fan coil units or indoor evaporators. You also have the particles build up within your space. You don't want that to happen. Okay. So particulate matters are very important. There's also the issue of certain particles that can be emitted from insulation. So if you have a HVAC ducting system where you have those insulation, they're actually fiber formed into pads wrapped around pipes, and aluminum foils are also wrapped around them. The idea is to keep the temperature stable and avoid condensation when cold air or in case of chilled water pipes, cold water is running through those ducts. So you don't observe what is going on in there because there's full thermal insulation. That's what those fibers are for. If you have to do anything that requires you to cut into that pipe, make some adjustment, do some amendment, make sure that people are not exposed to the particulate matters that will come out of that. Because once you cut into that, the fibers just, spread out dust into the environment. And then there's also the case of asbestos. It's used to be found in those ducting, HVAC ducting I talked about, because they made very good insulation fibers, exhaust pipes and systems for vehicles, as well as in roof and ceiling boards. But because they've been found to be carcinogenic, things that causes cancer, they've been banned from most common uses. So unless you are using a very old system, HVAC installed before the 90s, for example, you probably will not experience this type of particulate matter from asbestos. But be conscious to know what material has been used to make some of the things we have in our offices and homes. For example, there are so many furnitures out there in the market today that were not made out of wood. Particle boards are used nowadays for all kinds of design because of their ease to design, cut, form any kind of shape. But in the process of making those particle boards, much of them no longer rely on dust from real wood. They now have different particles that are being glued together to form these boards that can be used for partitioning, that can be used for different types of wall paneling, cupboards, and different things in our facilities. We must be conscious of what particles are in the materials that we use, because exposure to particulate matter can be really bad for the indoor environment. affect the indoor air quality. Then talk about carbon dioxide, CO2. It builds up in poorly ventilated spaces with high occupancy. This is the air that we breathe out. We use oxygen to live, and then we release CO2 into the atmosphere. So if a space is locked and many people are in there, first know that whatever air conditioning system you have in that space has to have an air intake, fresh air intake valve or damper, something that you can monitor how much CO2 has been released into that environment so that you can allow fresh air intake. Now, if you don't have a means of gauging the CO2 that has been released into that environment, then you have to set up some kind of arbitrary approach to allowing in fresh air to mix with the air inside. And that reduces the CO2 level within the space, because everybody in that space needs oxygen, not CO2. CO2 is actually a poison. That's how we give it out. We don't want it back in. But once the oxygen in the space has been used up, there is still air, by the way, but it's not a rich air that we want to use. We start taking back in CO2 and begin to harm the body, right? So this is something that we should be very conscious about. And CO2 can be emitted from different things, not just our breathing out. It can come out of motorized equipment like vacuums, hand dryers, anything that has, motors, friction, moving parts. They tend to build up, contribute to this carbon dioxide in the spaces. I'm not talking about the exhaust that comes from equipment like blowers, that probably use fuel and the rest. Those are even worse, carbon monoxide. We don't want them in our indoor spaces. Now, let's talk about biological contaminants. Mold, bacteria, allergens from damp areas, plants or HVAC units. There is a condition within our spaces that feeds biological contaminants. Naturally, biological contaminants, when they come out into the atmosphere, they should not survive. So they come out from whatever, from external, from somebody sneeze, for example, or whatever happens in the indoor space. Somebody brings in food that's rotting and is putting out spores in the air, or just all kinds of things can put out biological contaminants in the air. But these biological contaminants, which can be viruses, fungi, or bacteria, they tend to die off very quickly unless they find conditions that are suitable for them to continue to thrive and find a new host. And one common condition is moisture, humidity. So if your environment is humid, biological contaminants that come into that environment, they tend to find respite. They tend to live longer. Another one is warmth or heat. So if you now have a hot and humid space that is not properly ventilated, you have created, by and large, what I might call an environment, right? More like a lab condition for them to thrive. And that is what we are creating with most of the houses that have all kinds of damp, whether it's from foundation, whether it's from ingress of rainwater from the windows and doors because of poor insulation, whether it's from leaking roofs, soaking up your roof members, whether it's from plumbing in the walls that are leaking into the walls and popping out your paint and creating all kinds of moisture in the system. You might not feel that moisture. You are seeing the wall peeling. You are seeing certain things, evidence that this place is moist. You are not seeing the moisture, so you don't know how bad things are. But you could actually be breathing, incubating dangerous bacteria. because of that condition you have created, right? So watch out for this. There are simple sensors, I'll talk about them, that can help you check the humidity level of your spaces. Because if the spaces are dry, bacteria can release, viruses can release, fungi can release, and they will be dead in minutes to hours. There will be no hosts. There will be no environment to incubate them and grow them into something else that you can feed and infect someone else. So that's what you need to basically look out for. Moisture, humidity, mildew, damp. Don't overlook it. You bring out clothes from a cupboard or from kind of shelf, and you see those light gray dusts, and you just dust them off and you put them on. Some people don't even smell them. They can't even pick it from their nose. This mildew and spores that come out of, those fungal spores that come out of those damp that you are dealing with. But they are not good for the body. They damage respiratory system of individuals. Okay. So all those illnesses, going to hospital, treating this, treating that, all kinds of reactions we are having can be because the building is killing its people. More than 90% of buildings in Lagos today have damp problems. And yet, many people are not still ventilating it enough, having air conditioning system is not a ventilation system, most of them, especially the split and window units, except you have a central chiller system where air, is allowed in through some kind of damper that's built in. Otherwise, what this one does is condition the air by taking that air, cooling it down. So it does two things. It filters it. So particulates, your ACs can take care of particulates. Once air comes into the AC and tries to go through the filter, it holds back all the particulates, so all the dust, whatever is in the air, it picks that up, right? But then the moisture goes through into the air conditioning. And because it goes through cooling coils, evaporator coils within the AC, it becomes cold, and cold air is denser. And because there's moisture in that cold air, water moves from its gaseous state to its liquid state as it cools. It becomes too heavy to flow back with the air that's coming into the building. That water forms condensation that drops into a drain within your air conditioning system that is led outside. The reason why you have buckets filling up or passageways being soiled with wet fluid or liquid from your air conditioning outlets is because the air inside, all that moisture is being cooled, condensed, and drained out. So if you put an air conditioner on in one room, for example, and it works for 25, 24 hours, or maybe even 12 hours, or even 10 hours, and you see that, 10 liters of water that is gathered out of it, that is the quantity of water that was in your air. Just think about it. That is the quantity of water that was invisible in the air that you were in. So do not see air conditioning as something that is just for cooling. It helps to, dry up the air, take away much of this moisture, and helps to reduce mold. If you don't want the cooling because too cold is a problem, and you still want indoor air quality that is good, then you get a dehumidifier. Dehumidifiers are like fans, right? But what they do is once the air passes through them, they cool the air and trap the water to be gathered and taken out. And they don't necessarily cool the environment the way a typical air conditioner would do. They help move the air around, and then they trap it, and then they extract the moisture, and then you have dry environment. This is very important. FMs, please think about the health of your users and act on humidity today. Now you have the carbon monoxide. from gas appliances, from fuels and the rest. So be conscious of this as well, because you don't want to hurt people living using your facilities. Now, there's something that happens with certain compounds that by law, it is known that they are harmful to the indoor air quality. People should not inhale them, right? And regulations now require manufacturers to put in a pungent smell into them. Take cooking gas, for example. Take insecticides and other fumigation chemicals. They were actually designed with pungent smelling chemicals to help you pick them, pick a whiff of it and say, oh, this is uncomfortable. I need to run out of here, or to ventilate my space. Now that we are now dealing with odorless chemicals all over the place, be very careful, very, very careful. We are creating more harm than good with odorless chemicals. Treat odorless chemical the same way you would treat one with a pungent smell, because the harm that it causes is the same, whether it tingles your nose and makes you feel irritated or not, or you can just sit in there and say, oh, this one is lemon insecticide. This one is whatever flavored insecticide. It does not transfer or convey that it is less harmful. If it can kill the mosquitoes, it is not good for you. You are not supposed to be digesting whatever can kill a mosquito. All right, so you must run away from it. So if I'm going to do a fumigation, an odorless one, I will still evacuate the facility for as long as I normally will evacuate it, when I do with chemical that has odor, if ever I use an odorless chemical, because I feel that whole approach to chemicals, overrides safety. It's like taking safety out of it and making it out of a matter of convenience, which can be a big problem. From what we've seen so far, think about the headaches, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, lack of focus, and then the asthma attacks, coughing, shortness of breath, catarrh, and all kinds of viruses that comes out of poor indoor air quality. And then some people react to certain allergies when they're pollen, for example, dust, mold, volatile contaminants. It creates certain allergies: itchy eyes, watery eyes, itchy skin, all kinds of rashes. These things may seem so mild. People say, oh, I'm used to it. And that's the problem I always have. Oh, no, don't worry. We are used to this. It doesn't kill us. It's not meant to kill you now. That's the problem. It is meant to destroy the organs of the body gradually until somebody comes down with, if exposed in a very prolonged way, you can eventually come down with long-term health conditions. So do not expose yourself, your workers, or your building users. When people come into a space, I know one thing they always look out for is, how does it scent? Oh, this place is really scenting fine. Not many people know that some of the chemicals used in making some of those fragrances are not good for the body. Of course, there are some essential oils, diffusers, that are very healthy, because these oils themselves, when you inhale them, it gives some health benefits. But there are some synthetic chemicals that are being used for selling fragrances that you just pump them into the air. I go to some places, and maybe to impress me or to impress their customer base, you just see them spray the whole place, and I'm already choking. Oh, it to smell fresh. See, if you clean properly and ventilate properly, that neutral smell, that no smell environment is healthier than a scented environment if it is not being scented using essential oils or any healthy organic diffusers. Because what is the real implication here? Our bodies cannot process any of these synthetic things. Our bodies are meant to process organic, natural things. Those are what we can break down and excrete through sweat, urine, and excretion. Bottom line is, we should not expose ourselves to things, whether perceived desirable or not, just for convenience. And then when people start getting ill, they go to hospitals, right? Discomforts, productivity dwindles. And before you know what's happening, you are no longer achieving your goals as an organization because people are suffering from what we call sick building syndrome. It will tell in different ways to different people. Some people will come up with, people always think it's malaria. When we have a fever nowadays, everybody goes for malaria. Research has shown that 90% of the fevers that you have are not even linked to the Plasmodium bacteria or the malaria parasite. They are linked to all kinds of things. And then we end up taking malaria medicines, rampantly, destroying our livers in the process. It is better to be on the path of prevention than trying to cure. And to prevent requires you to ventilate your spaces, be careful with the chemicals you expose, dry out the environment, reduce moisture, manage temperature through conditioning and dehumidifiers, and ensure that you don't put out chemicals that emit volatile organic compounds into your spaces. At the beginning, I said it's important to have a way to know. It's not enough to say, people don't seem to be complaining. This place, everybody seems to be fine. Once I had an office, beautiful office, 5-star, top-notch furnishing, perfect finishing, but I was always ill 2 hours into entering the office. Every time I get into the office, I see myself losing focus, having headache. Sometimes my temperature will even go up. I'll come out of the office straight to go and see a doctor. Doctor says you have malaria. I say I don't have malaria. Oh, you have malaria. In many cases, they will do tests and find that there's malaria. To be honest with you, everybody will have malaria where test is done. Because we're in malaria zone, we're in mosquito zone. But the amount of bacteria or malaria parasites in our blood is just supposed to be that constant low. Your body is managing it, is living with it. So there will be some evidence of malaria parasites in your blood, but it's not harmful. You shouldn't do anything about it. But because of a sick building that I wasn't catching, I was being treated for malaria. Many times I would leave office early. Before I get home, I'm feeling better. Sometimes I even get to the hospital, I'm feeling better. It took a while for me to now find out what was going on. My office was inside, my secretary was outside. So the door from outside that leads into my secretary's office was open often, but the door between my secretary and my office was not open often. When cleaners come in to clean early in the morning before I get to the office, they never open the windows to ventilate the spaces. They're supposed to open the windows, the middle door, the outer door, while cleaning that whole space. They will use soaps and detergent, they will use bleaches, they will use wood polishes, they will use all kinds of things that further depletes oxygen in that space. They will not spray air freshener and lock the place in there. And then the AC will be left on, so the place will be chilled and you will feel that, oh, this is really a comfortable space when you come in. But the thing that sustains life, your oxygen, is being deprived, is removed. So once I knew that that was what was going on, I told them, please, make sure the windows are open wherever you're cleaning for at least 30 minutes to 1 hour. And that was the end of that sickness. 3 straight months I was ill, going to hospital almost every week. And that solved it. Ventilation. Okay? So don't think that somebody is trying to, witch hunt you or doing anything to you. It's not spiritual. When you go to hospital repeatedly and, sometimes at some point, doctor says, I'm not seeing anything again. Look back to your environment, look back to your buildings, whether it's at home, whether it's at the office. Much of the health issues we are having can be traced to indoor air quality. So find devices. They are very simple devices. You can get them on Jumia, indoor air quality monitors. Whatever are so cheap as 10,000 naira safe. You can get some indoor air quality monitors. Buy them, and then some can monitor multiple things: humidity, Some can monitor CO2, carbon monoxide, different volatile organic compounds. They have those that can monitor one type and some that can monitor many. There's a screen that you can just put it on and it reads the air around and gives you a reading. So that if you don't have an automatic system for bringing in fresh air, once it reads that something is below a certain threshold, you just open windows and bring in fresh air. This is a practice that will improve the health and well-being of users of our facilities. So it's important that we monitor carbon dioxide, particulate matters, volatile organic compounds, relative humidity, and temperature and airflow as a minimum. These are key indicators of indoor air quality that you must monitor. Okay, there are so many more gases. There are nitrogen monitors, different types of monitors for hydrogen and the rest of gases in your environment. But these are the key indicators of indoor air quality for your facility. So I've talked about air exchange. If you just open windows, doors, make sure there's cross ventilation. Some people open a window and expect the air to come in. If the air does not have where it's going to pass to go out, it will not come in. It will stay outside the window and be looking at you. So you will not feel that ventilation. So make sure there is, something open here and something open there so that there's movement. Otherwise, there will be no ventilation. If air cannot move, you cannot get your spaces refreshed. Okay, so that's something you need to consider. Then think about the filters that are your air conditioners. Don't wait for the entire 3 months. So we are servicing ACs to bring out the filters. Filters can be brought out every week for high density environment, every month for low density environment. Just clean the filters and put it back. And then for HVAC systems, I know those filters are so expensive. Some of them have to be replaced. Just make sure there is regular inspection on them to be sure that they're not building up with mold and dust that can become contaminants to your environment. And then for those that can involve demand-controlled ventilation, where you have occupancy sensors deployed, and the occupancy sensors senses how many people are in the space. There's a ventilation shaft, a damper, inlet valve that is connected to it. So if people are more and they are more for a certain number of hours, it automatically allows, opens up and brings in more fresh air. And then there's another device that is sensing the CO2 level that is also checking how the fresh air is affecting the oxygen level in the space and so on and so forth. There are so many automation now with the era of IoT. We can fit out a high-rise building with small sensors to pick up all of this information. So you don't have to go to every space with a handheld device to go and check indoor air quality. I can set up sensors across the whole building, and in your smart device, your laptop or phone, you can check the air quality on every space and guarantee the health and well-being of your users. And then when buying materials for cleaning, for painting, always go for low emission materials. All those, we are going to paint, it will take us 1 week to air out this paint. There's this particular oil paint, very terrible paint. It stinks the eye, it stinks the skin, it stinks the nose. It's very tough. When you put it on your wall or your metal protectors, for weeks, I don't even know why they're still selling those things. And whoever is still using it, they're very harmful. Go for materials that once you apply them, within a day or two, they've aired out. They have emitted all their particles and they have aired out. And then train cleaners. You're not painters now. Some of them will put in so much Izal, so much bleach, so much detergent, and the water will become so thick that to clean and all that. And then the place smells so strongly, and then they will spray that a can of whatever they are spraying all over the place. These are all pollution. It's not cleaning anymore. Train cleaners to know how to use minimal of those materials if you have to. Very small, can take care of it. And then as facility managers, work from the standpoint of policy. So you can control things from a higher level. It's not just every day you have to go around, no, that is not enough. Why do you put that much? Don't do this. You won't do that. You create policies and use procedures to enforce approaches to getting things done, and then train people how these policies are. So training is very important. Some of the things I've discussed in this session, it's not everybody that understands them. You've been working in facilities, working in different roles for so long, but you don't get it. You don't get the fundamental story, the fundamental science behind indoor air quality. Okay. Basic understanding that most people have. So people can just take it for granted that gas should smell like that. No. And so when you now see odorless things and you start jumping towards odorless things, you think, yes, odorless it is. I'm doing odorless, I'm doing well. No. Also be conscious, because odorless is as harmful as the ones that has odors. There are so many things that we will now need to learn, even about the little chemistry of how condensation happens from air conditioning, how mold fester inside spaces when we have moisture and humidity and temperature in that space, are all things that need to be trained and learned over time. And once you get used to it, you understand the principles, you are able to manage your indoor air quality. Okay, so that's our session for today. See who has questions. If you do want to ask a question that can be accommodated in this short session, please head on to our WhatsApp group, Facility Management Training, Max-Migold Facility Management Training, and drop the question there. I monitor that group on a daily basis, and I will always respond to your question. And if you want to get directly to me, you can chat on WhatsApp on this number, 080-220-20122. The number again is 080-220-20122. WhatsApp chats only. You'll get an answer within 24 hours, and we can have the chat. If you have opportunities to solve indoor environment quality problems in your buildings, challenges, please contact Max-Migold. We have solutions for virtually everything in the built environment, and we'll deal with that. Many of you have issues with asset tagging, asset register, maintenance solutions, building fabric degradation issues, maintenance challenges. Please call us on at Max-Migold, and we'll get the right experts to come and take a look and give you solutions. You can become that top-notch, world-class facility manager just by being connected to those who know. And that's the invitation I'm giving you here in this session. So thank you, everyone, for being here. I look forward to seeing you in our subsequent sessions. From the month of July, we'll be having more facilitators from our faculty take different sessions, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the diversified perspective that's going to come from engaging with more people. Of course, you'll see me every now and then, taking this session, and I look forward to this new era with all of you here at the lunch hour. See you again next week, Thursday. Bye-bye.